Hello, my name is Thane and I like to experiment with AI art and also all kinds of other cool things related to AI. Today I will again have 5 styles for you that I have discovered and have liked. As per my usual style, I will show you the word or word combination on its own and then in combination with other different kinds of subject matter. All of these images were prompted with Midjourney version 5.2, which is the current default style for Midjourney. And without further explanations, let's just kick things off with Bentwood. Embracing fluid and graceful curves, the Bentwood style accentuates images with a sense of organic elegance, often inspired by the artistry of Bentwood furniture, creating a harmonious blend of natural forms and artistic finesse. I guess this style is more for the design people, but I like the shapes of these chairs, so smooth. For other subject matter like nature and wildlife, this prompt tends to create some very photorealistic and quite colorful wood carvings. I do quite like them. Flowers look really cool and intricate. But macros on the other hand are really intricate too, very wooden, very many holes. But I'm not really sure what they are supposed to be. Street images seem to look really different from all of the other subject matter. Could it be that it's possibly drawing from all of the existing streets that are named Bentwood? But the style coming up with it is also quite different and distinct and not like a real photograph. Anyway, the architecture looks really nice with this prompt, and this is one of the main reasons of why I wanted to include this style to this video. Interiors are also continuing the same theme, trend and style as architecture did, also adding in some really nicely designed furniture. And sci-fi does various things from a wood carving to some really intricate sculptures to a lady with a really awesome looking headdress or helmet. The portraits and fantasy seem to be mostly doing some wood carving type of things. I am not that impressed by the portraits, although if you look at them purely on the basis that they look different from Midjourney's default style, that they certainly are. Bold graphic illustration. This style showcases striking visuals through strong, impactful lines and vibrant colors, delivering a dynamic and attention-grabbing aesthetic that leaves a lasting impression. And I almost didn't include this style, because it's not really my thing. But you can't judge a book by its cover. You will shortly see why I actually really like what this word combination does to prompts. The landscapes may be a little bit too pink or orange, as Midjourney tends to prefer those colors. They look really nicely stylized. But I am really impressed by the wildlife prompts here. We've got some nice almost like t-shirt designs there and otherwise really nicely styled artwork. Yes, they seem to mostly be in Midjourney's favorite colors, orange and teal, but I'll not let myself to be bothered by that. I don't really like those macro images. The ladies in there look too spaced out. But the flowers look really sharp and detailed. I absolutely love those flowers. Street is again kind of having that Midjourney default style seep through a bit. Meaning they're so chaotic and packed full of random things and people. Architecture seems to be creeping towards abstract in the top images. The lower images look more traditional, still there's so many flaws again. Not really a fan of those interiors. I guess not enough contrast between the walls and the furniture and it all just blends into a big mess. The top right one is the best looking one in the bunch in my opinion. Sci-fi has some cool spacesuit looks. And portraits and fantasy are reminiscent of each other. All have pretty young women in the image. The only differences seem to be that portrait images are more angled as fantasy images are flowy and curved. And also portrait images seem to be facing forward as fantasy images are in side profile. I really like the top right fantasy image. There's something special about it. Now we'll blend into the background a little bit compared to the last one. Detailed background elements. With meticulous attention to background elements, this style enhances images with rich and intricate surroundings, elevating the overall storytelling and visual depth. And we sure get some images that could be set as a background in a story or a video game. The landscapes are nice, but nothing we've not seen before. The wildlife has a little bit of a different feel to it compared to the usual. There's still flowers and all kinds of stuff in there, but I feel like something is different there and I can't really put my finger on what it is. But now we get to the good stuff. The flowers here look absolutely amazing. I love the detail, and I love that there's one primary flower in the foreground, with some smaller and not so prominent ones slightly more in the background. And Macabre has some really unrecognizable stuff that looks so amazing and detailed. The streets look like regular streets, but there's again something different than usual. I feel like they're a little more normal and a little less messier than usual. Architecture does a variety of things, so it's hard to describe what it actually does here. Really detailed and ornate stuff. And also the word elements must be creating those kind of asset sheets if that's what they're called. From these interiors, I kind of get the feel of those hidden object games where you have to find stuff. Also the lighting looks kind of softer than it usually does from what I've noticed. And sci-fi has not spacesuits, nice worlds though. And portraits are the first people we see with this prompt. As it should be. But we do seem to be getting some more additional detail in the actual background of the posing ladies. Fantasy too has some nice worlds there, and also that soft light. For some reason I always seem to have at least one word combination related to colors. Foreboding colors. Characterized by dark and ominous color schemes, the foreboding colors style sets a mysterious and ominous tone, evoking a sense of anticipation and tension in the artwork. We seem to get a lot of balloons in these images as well for some reason. But very fittingly some really ominous clouds and darker coloring. The orange is still haunting us. More dark and looming clouds in landscapes mirrored on some swampy rivers. The wildlife looks just simply colorful to me, possibly just a hint darker than they usually have. I do like the fact that there's not too much detail like wildlife usually tends to have. The flowers and macro also look just simply colorful with some darker colors. Don't get me wrong, these images look wonderful with all those water droplets and the sharpness of them. The street images look like there is a storm brewing and just about to hit. Architecture is something oddly realistic. I swear I've seen houses like this somewhere. And this confirms it that foreboding means black, orange and pink and also heavy clouds to Midjourney. So for interiors it's kind of difficult to set the mood with heavy clouds, but you can see them wherever there is windows. The stained glass ones look really cool there though. Sci-fi seems to have some regular landscapes. Is sci-fi then usually so foreboding just on its own that Midjourney doesn't seem to be doing anything differently from the usual here? These portraits look quite normal to me, nothing foreboding about them. Fantasy seems to have some sinister looking stuff though, again the repeating theme of orange and pink it would seem. The top right one seems to be kind of an exception though, it looks more dreamy than foreboding. And just so all the foreboding would not lead us to nowhere, here is a really dark style for you. Macabre illustration. Drawing inspiration from the eerie and unsettling, the macabre illustration style brings to life hauntingly beautiful images, often featuring gothic motifs and dark themes that captivate with their eerie allure. And sure enough we get so many skulls and red color tones here, truly macabre. The landscapes look really Halloweeny as well, dried trees, crosses and gravestones and skulls everywhere. And bats. Wildlife fittingly is doing some animal skulls there mostly. Offset by some flowers and butterflies, but certainly doesn't look anything like the default style. I'm not that impressed by these flowers, but I guess they could be someone's tattoo designs. The macro looks really creepy and weird. Kind of bothersome to look at, the decay is kind of gross. The streets seem to be filled with monsters and skeletons. Like a never-ending Halloween. The architecture actually looks really nice. A little bit unrealistic though, the houses look so flimsy yet so massive with those 8 floors. They are the size of apartment buildings, but look like some kind of mansions that should be 3 floors max. Interiors look so very cluttered and so much stuff going on in there. And skulls and skeletons everywhere. Sci-Fi 2 is looking kind of creepy, more like horror in space. And lastly, some more skulls. Very Victorian looking fashion there, very sophisticated if you look past all of the skulls. And fantasy has some monsters too, but it does fit the style in my opinion. Alright, that was it for this video and I hope you got some inspiration from these. I ended up with these when I uploaded one of my doodles and image prompted it with a really simple word like tree. And then asked Midjourney for a /describe on that image. I didn't get exactly the same looking stuff out of it, but I got the contents of this video out of that. If you were wondering why no seed numbers this time, I have just been confusing so many people by including it, I guess. For those of you that want to make the exact same looking images, use fast mode and --seed 777 and you may be able to do that. But do consider leaving some likes, comments and also subscribe if you would like to see more of my experiments. Thank you for watching and let's continue prompting.